Hello everybody, welcome back to another Ask a Bhante. So we have a question here from Cameron. In shamata practice, sometimes I'm able to enter a relatively deep state of tranquility, but there are times when I would like to be able to go deeper into this state. What can I do to go deeper into the state of tranquility? So one of the first things is, if you like to go deeper, that's going to keep you from going deeper. When we are trying to develop a mind of shamata, a mind of tranquility, what we want to do is set the groundwork for the mind to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And if we have desires about that, then that can actually keep us from going deeper. So the way that you go deeper, to get into deeper samadhi, the jhanas and things like that, is you have to, the Buddha says quite clearly, the very beginning of the jhana quotes, is quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful mind states. That's your key. That's your goal. If you want to go deeper, that's where you need to work on, to understand the hindrances, to understand how they arise, to understand how they cease, to understand how you feed them, you make them worse, to understand how you starve them, you make them cease. This is important. You have to know the hindrances inside and out. As you're sitting there following your breath, going like to follow the breath, and then some kind of thought arises, a thought of lust, thought of hatred, thought of worry, agitation. It's all the hindrances arising. So you watch them, you observe them. Okay, why did this hindrance arise? What happened? Can I see what happened, or is it too subtle for me yet? Observing how this arises. Can I come back to the breath? Because that's the key. The key is that as you keep getting distracted and you keep coming back, as you're training the mind is gradually, slowly, ever more, step by step, being comfortable with just staying there. Just staying right there. Less likely to go away. And then you can reach a state where the mind is so content to just be with the breath. Anything around can happen, and it doesn't matter. You're just happy and okay to be there with the breath in this nice, peaceful state. And then what will happen is maybe you're even in that state for a couple minutes. And then something will happen. The fetters, the hindrances will arise and take you out of that state. So it's like you fell off the horse. Now you got to get back on the horse. You fell away from the breath, go back to the breath. You know, I personally don't have deep jhana practice, but Bhante G even says when he's talking about the jhanas, he says, you get into the jhana, and if you're not trained in it, you're in there for a second and you're out again because the hindrances have come. Boom. But then you go back again and again and again and again, and you master it. Right? So this is not a practice of, oh, there's just one trick that I need to know, and then that'll fix it. No, it's a gradual practice, a consistent development of habitualizing, whatever the word is, your mind to being with the breath or the object of meditation. And as you do that, it becomes much easier for the mind to settle in, to be calm. And then when that happens, when you've set the groundwork for that to arise, then the deeper states just arise of themselves. Right? There's not something that you do. there's a trick to get the deeper states. No, the trick is lots of hard work, lots of practice, lots of developing the mind, lots of training the mind to be on the breath. And the minute you want to, I can tell a story of this is going back 10 years ago probably now. And I was in a period of time where I guess I set the groundwork for it. I was becoming secluded, even though I was working and still in lay life. This is well before monastic life. And I was sitting at my desk at work, before work, because I would meditate at my office before work. That was where I mostly meditated. And I was in a very kind of deep state, just perfectly content to be with the breath. And this was, I had not really developed, I had not really learned a lot about jhanas then, because I felt that was something that was really far away, like many, many years until I even get close to going to, to the jhanas. And what happened was that I'm following my breath. It's just chill. It's just perfect. And all of a sudden the nimitta arises. Just this bright, like 4K, crystal clear, totally mind-made. It's not like something like your eyes close and you see the light. It was just boom, right there. And of course, I had been studying the suttas, and I had, although nimitta in this way is not really in the suttas, it is something that is talked about more later, like in the Visuddhimagga. But I knew like this term nimitta. I knew what it, signified or what it could signify. And because of that, I got excited. And as soon as I got excited, it went away. And I've never seen it since, 10 years later, right? So this is something, and what I learned was, now a couple times since then, I've come close and I watch the excitement arise. And actually, because of over the years, I've actually been able to lessen that excitement. I was like, okay, I understand where I'm coming. That first time though, it was almost involuntary. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I almost got this. I was at the doorstep of jhana. And then it went down. Right? Because I got excited. Why? Because the hindrance arose. Restlessness and remorse. Excitement arose. And so then I went to the jhana retreat at Bhavana, and I learned about, and I was like, okay, now I need to learn about jhana very deeply. And so then now, as I understand, knowing the suttas more deeply now and knowing the practice more deeply now, is the practice is when I sit down to follow my breath, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. Right? I'm trying to follow my breath, and then inevitably a hindrance will arise. Inevitably a hindrance will arise. Now I investigate it. I observe it. I watch it. I observe how easily it took me away from the breath. Maybe even I take some time, since I'm away from the breath, I take some time to investigate, right? What is this hindrance doing to my body? What is this hindrance doing to my mind, right? I bring in some satipatthana because I need to investigate that hindrance, to know it. Because then this way, as I'm practicing and as I'm going deeper, and I see the hindrance and I have wisdom on the hindrance, then I can overcome it. Then I can starve it. Then I can abandon it more quickly, more easily, which makes it easier for me to go deeper in my meditation. So working with the hindrances is numero uno, number one. Working with the hindrances, knowing the hindrances, understanding the hindrances to the most subtle degree is your job if you want to go deeper. That's the job. Practicing, developing the habit of mind to stay on the breath, understanding the hindrances, and doing it over and over and over again. Also, excuse me, also practicing sense restraint. Right? This is also would be a big help, because if you just let your senses just freely do whatever they do, then that will make the mind harder to train, harder to rein in. Right? Because if you're just looking at every attractive person just without abandon, without any kind of sense restraint or any kind of mindfulness, you're just, eating and drinking and doing whatever with any kind of sense restraint, then that will also make it harder. Now, you might not have to, have the sense restraint of a monk in the jungle, meditating by themselves as a hermit or something like that. But you should because especially if you're a lay person, you have a lay life, but you should do that, at least the basic practices of sense restraint. And as you do these things, then that should help you to be able to go deeper and deeper. So let me just check the question one more time, see if I miss anything or have anything else to say. Nope, I think that's about it. So this is my understanding from my own practice, from the suttas, from the teachers that I've learned from, as to how to go deeper. And don't expect that you do this and then in a month, you'll be able to go deeper. You will have times where you go deeper and then times that you don't. I have, and I'll give one more thing, that as an example from my own practice, most of you know that sitting meditation and following the breath has never been something that was easy for me. It's always been a bit of a struggle. And I very rarely am able to really sit past about a half hour with all kinds of pain, bodily issues and mental issues and things like that. But sometimes I can. And I'll give you an example. I remember this is maybe about 4 or 5 years ago at Bhavana Society, where I got into this mode. It was a Monday, right? And we had our 5 o'clock meditation. And I'm sorry, doing this on the phone. I keep getting all these notifications popping down. But anyway, so it's 5 o'clock. It was, our 5 o'clock meditation, and then 6:30 is the chanting. So I sat down and I started to meditate, and I just started to follow my breath. And as I kept going, I kept coming back to the breath, just kept coming back. And I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper. It wasn't the deepest I'd ever been, for sure. It was close, but it wasn't the deepest. But I had been in this state where what brought me out of the meditative state was the lights coming on for the 6:30 chanting. So I had meditated for an hour and a half, peacefully, wonderfully, not really any hindrances, at least past, a certain point in the beginning. And not only that, but I had no pains in my body, no soreness. It was like I had not even sat in position for 20 minutes, let alone an hour and a half. And I had been meditating for many years at that point. I was like, well, this is a wonderful one-off. What can I learn from it? But I shouldn't expect that this is going to be normal. But then Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, same thing. Friday, same thing. And I was like, okay, this is not going to last forever. But boy, this is good. So what did I do? What causes and conditions have arisen for me to be able to do this? This was amazing. That I could just, so I knew, so like these kind of things. Now, of course, then Saturday it went away. I went back to normal. But this gave me a glimpse that I could do it. I could get to this point. Now I need, same thing with the nimitta. It gave me a glimpse that I could get to this point. Now the question is, how do I get to this point? How do I set the groundwork? How do I create the causes and conditions to get to this point? That's the important thing. So that's what to think about. How do I create the causes and conditions to get to this point? And I believe I've given you enough examples and enough advice to get to this point. It's not overly complicated in terms of you don't need to know a billion little things. It's the hindrances and sense restraint. It is complicated in that you need wisdom to be able to do this. So lots and lots of practice with the hindrances, understanding them. All right, friends. So that's the end of this Ask a Bhante. Remember, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, or even if you know the answer, but you think that it will be good for it to be recorded for future posterity, for future Dhamma friends, then please type in the answer in the chat below, and I'll get to that. I can't guarantee I'll get to it next week. I do have a backlog of these things, and I'm going to get through to them. So with that, friends, I wish you a very spiritually successful and peaceful practice. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy.